In the opening months of the pandemic, the Navy was caught off guard. In April 2020, it was forced to sideline the USS Roosevelt in Guam to stop a quickly spreading COVID-19 outbreak that infected over a third of the sailors. The head of the Navy, Admiral Michael Gilday, scrambled to get the situation under control.
Our goal is to get a clean ship, right? We need about 1,000 people or so on that ship to keep those critical functions running, as the Secretary mentioned. And so we have people ashore that are isolated that have tested positive. We have others that are quarantined or isolated.
One sailor on the aircraft carrier died. The commander was relieved. And the situation became a case study in how not to handle COVID-19.
Roosevelt was made much worse, largely by self-inflicted wounds by the Navy. So that needs to change.
Brad Martin is a retired Navy captain who is now a researcher at RAND Corporation. He says the Navy underestimated the risk of COVID and was slow to react.
They were befuddled because they were getting a lot of conflicting guidance. They were befuddled because because the medical chain of command was telling people one thing, the operational chain of command was telling them something else.
Fast forward to early January. The USS Lincoln was about to depart from San Diego. Sailors are required to wear a mask now. The whole crew is vaccinated. Many had boosters. With the carrier as a backdrop, the head of the strike group, Rear Admiral J.T. Anderson, assured reporters that the Navy now has its act together.
Frankly, we've learned a lot over the course of the last couple of years, and we feel like we're in a good place because we are highly vaccinated.
But the Navy has eased up on some of the restrictions that were put in place after the Roosevelt outbreak. Gone are the 2 weeks of isolation prior to boarding a ship. And the Admiral announced that the crew of 3,000 included sailors who had active COVID cases.
We do have some positive cases within the strike group, but again, we're extremely confident that we can safely and effectively execute our mission.
The Navy has a 98% vaccination rate, but thousands of sailors have applied for exemptions. So far, the Navy hasn't granted any religious exemptions, though a federal judge has blocked the Navy from taking action against 35 SEALs who are suing on religious grounds. Meanwhile, for the first time in at least a decade, the Marines did recently grant a handful without listing a reason. Vice Admiral Roy Kitchener is in charge of naval surface forces in the Pacific.
The way we deal with it now is it's more of an endemic, right, than a pandemic. You know, for me personally, I think it's going to be with us over the next few years, maybe forever. I don't know.
Kitchener says no one will deploy without being vaccinated. Ships are doing contact tracing on board. And mirroring the Center for Disease Control guidelines, 6 sailors are spending 5 days in isolation instead of 10.
There is no magic to getting them out quicker. There's just more tools to manage it. And that's really the key thing we look at. Do you have enough people, that can operate that ship safely?
Martin says the Navy has made progress in keeping sailors healthy. Still, he says a lot of effort went into keeping ships at sea. Maybe, he says, a better answer was keeping the ships at home rather than sending them on non-essential missions.
The Navy needs to think seriously about what's really a definite must-do deployment and what's something that can wait. What's something that it may not even be necessary for any ship to be someplace for some period of time. Nobody's going to notice, nobody's going to care. And creating all kinds of havoc in order to try to meet a commitment may not be necessary.
And he says the Navy still has trouble anticipating crises instead of learning from its failures. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.